The Bigger Picture on BFM 89.9, the business station.
Edward, you're also a social activist. During the 1992 Rodney King Riots in Blade, when many people left, you went out with a broom and worked to get communities cleaned up and rebuilt it. Why?
It's a devastating time in the history of us living in that country. It was devastating. The discrimination, the prejudice, all of that came to a head, and everybody could feel it, and you could cut it with a knife. It was palpable. You knew that people were thinking and what they were thinking and where they stood just by looking at them. The disgust was evident on the entire populace. And I must say that what happened was a total rebellion riot of the highest extreme. There was over 6,000 buildings that were gutted and burned just in Los Angeles, and there was like 9 hot points in the country. LA was the one that got the most attention because it was really the center point of the explosion. And 6,000 buildings were gutted and burned in a matter of 48 hours. 57 people were killed. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets and pillaged, burned the city. And not just one region, it was all over Southern California. And it was amazing, and it was difficult, and nobody really was talking about it, and the police didn't even know where to begin. And they pulled all the police off the street to try to protect them. And that left everybody running rampant, and the police department, the fire department and the ambulance tried to work the streets and were being shot at themselves, and a lot of damage was done. And so I was at my wit's end by the end of it started at about 1:45. That's when the Rodney King verdict came in. And then by 3 o'clock, the first on the corner of Normandy and Jefferson, there was a huge explosion in respects of they blew up the local liquor store around the corner. It was a Korean-based liquor store, and most of the people on the street were African American. It was in the south central part of Los Angeles. And then everybody remembers very well when Rodney King in his truck was sitting there at the stop sign waiting for the light to change, and this massive mob of people pulled him out and cracked a porcelain sink over the top of his head and was killing him. And it was all live. It was right there. It was happening to the entire planet. And then it went on from that Wednesday night into all night Wednesday. Fires burning all over the county of Los Angeles. And then by Thursday, everybody thought for sure with this daybreak that it would slow down, but it got worse. And all day Thursday it got worse. And then by that time, the governor proclaimed it to be by 9 o'clock that night, Thursday night, they proclaimed martial law, in which the police then take over, and the military then take over the city. And there are no more laws. Everybody has got to go into their home and stay there, or else they're shot on sight. And so they said at daybreak, the shooting was going to start. But, all the people that were out in the street were not listening to the news. They knew nothing about this, that martial law had been declared. So it became really evident that a lot of people were going to get hurt. And it just devastated me, and I was left rendered useless. And I was going around the country, around the city, on different television networks, national television networks, trying to bring about a sense of understanding, a little bit of, okay, we understand what the pain is, and if you've gotten what you think you deserve from this frustration that you have, and you feel that you got to stay home. And I knew I was talking to the choir, because everybody that was out there pillaging was still pillaging and wasn't looking at television. And so after all night Thursday trying to do that, at 4:30 in the morning, I grabbed a broom, and I knew that they were going to start shooting at 5:45 when daybreak hit, and the National Guard was going to come out and start. Anybody on the street was going to be shot. And that was it. And so I grabbed the broom and I started sweeping down the AME Church on the corner of Adams and Western, because they were housing about 80 families there. And I just thought that was really amazing that they had taken out people on the street and brought them, put them in the church. And they quickly told me that I shouldn't be there, that thank you very much, but could I please leave? And so I said, of course. And so I just started sweeping down the street of Adams towards Western. And that's when a press, or actually a Channel 9 news coverage came across and slammed on the brakes, and they didn't know who it was. I was just sweeping down the middle of the street. It made no sense because I was doing nothing. It was just, there were buildings burning. It was like a live ammunition going off all around us. There was just people firing, because the United States of America is very well armed. The civilian population is very well armed. Yes, it's very well armed. And so there was a lot of multiple firing going on in the entire city. And it was really a war zone. And so I was sweeping, and you could hear the gunfire all around me. And I was by myself and sweeping. And the TV truck stops, and they pull up, and they realize it's me. And the guy jumps out. It's just one guy. The driver has got the camera. He's driving the truck and got the camera because it was really bad. So not too many people were out on the street. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Sweeping." And he says, "Okay, why?" And I said, "Take a look around. Don't you think it needs something, some help?" And, I was delirious because I hadn't slept for 2 days. And then, he took off. And about 20 minutes later, a truck full of kids, about 12 to 15 kids, truckload, comes going up flatbed with, comes up and stops, and a man jumps out, is driving, and says, "We saw you on the news, and we came to help." And they all had brooms. And so now there was all those kids. They were all kids, all 12, 14, 15 years old. And the head of the gang task force, who this guy was, Steve Valdivia, he came up and he started sweeping with me. And I said, "Oh my God," and so there was 20 of us. And then other people had seen it and came and found me on the corner of Western and Adams, and they joined. And by about 6:30 in the morning, no military had come out yet, and there was about 100 of us too, 150 of us. And then by 10, there was about 500 people sweeping. By about 11 o'clock, the military came out. And thank God, they had not distributed the bullets till 10 o'clock in the morning. And I guess they didn't want to do it either, but they did. They came out with their guns loaded, and they came out into the street. And of course, people got scared. And I said, "Look, if they start shooting at us sweeping, then it's all over anyway. So let's just keep on sweeping, just sweep. Don't even think about doing anything other than cleaning. Put it in your brain and start sweeping." And so we continued to sweep, and pretty soon there was 1,000, and there were tens of thousands. And then by the end of the day, there was literally over 100,000 people that had come out of their homes and with brooms and started cleaning. The next day, it took 3 days to damage the city, and it took us 3 days to clean it, because over 500,000 people came out from all over the United States. Actually, they came driving in from all over to help, and they came with, and the sign was, you saw cars with brooms sticking out of their windows. And that was a sign of what was about, what it was all about. It was a beautiful feeling, and it was a really coming together of humankind. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. And I think we really were very fortunate that happened.
Power of the broom.
Yeah. Power of one person.
Excellent work. Yeah. Discrimination aside, the both of you have done extremely well. In America, what would be your advice to those who would like to emulate your success? Tenacity and passion in what you do.
Well, you said earlier today, don't stop. Follow your heart. If you have a passion to tell stories, or however you want to express yourself in the medium, whether you're a technician or an artist per se, or someone in front of the camera, behind the camera, just go for it. Don't stop. There's no real path, at least from my experience, and my friends that are working, everyone's had a different trajectory to get where they are, or some of them still aren't exactly where they want to be, but they just keep doing it every day, and meeting like-minded people like yourself that just are driven. So if you have a passion, just go for it.
Michael, briefly, would you tell us about Chop Chops before we end?
Oh yeah, I'm paraphrasing because this is really Nixon's baby. He created it. It's the oldest story in humanity. I think it's a story we all know. It's good versus evil, and it's about making the right choice, or sometimes in the series, the wrong choice. It's a beautiful animation. I mean, on one level, the technical execution is amazing, but on the storytelling level, it's so warm and heartfelt. At the same time, it's got kung fu.
You have this thing for kung fu.
He's studied it for a long time. He's very good at it.
So we're very excited about it.
Okay. And this is in collaboration with the Health Education Group.
Correct.
Help University College.
Yeah.
Help University.
And one quick thing I'd like to add to that about Chop Chops and Help is that what's great about this project for us is that Help is going to take materials from the series and turn them into part of a curriculum to build up an infrastructure of artists here in Malaysia.
It's very important that people understand that they're not going to have another way of understanding this medium if they want to go to the Help University College and take courses in animation or film development and production. They're going to be giving classes in that also. It's a needed art form that needs to be really stimulated here in this portion of the planet, and Malaysia and its children and the people who live here, whether you be young or old, deserve the right to use this medium. And now with the advent of more and more, you have cameras on your cell phone, so you can start making film right from your camera, your cell phone, and just use that and start editing that. And it's really becoming very accessible, this art form, the audio-visual art form. And you can use YouTube, and you'll be right there, you'll be out there in public, and people can get to see your work, and you can develop yourself, both as an artist and as a human being. So apply yourself, and don't forget that Help University College will be giving classes starting in the spring of next year. And Egg Story and Tea-Tree, E-Tree. I always say Tea-Tree, my son, he goes crazy. It's E-Tree. But my Tea-Tree, he starts laughing at me. But E-Tree, our producers of this event, we're here just to help support Malaysia. It's populous and the advancement of production here in this region of the world.
Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Celebrities, actor Edward J. Olmos and Michael J. Olmos talking to us about the new project right here in Malaysia called Chop Chops on the Bigger Picture BFM 89.9.